Introduction. As we have discussed earlier, that every living organism taking the food material by the process of nutrition provides energy for various life processes. Respiration is an oxidative process involving the oxidation of food substances such as carbohydrates, fats and proteins within the tissues to form CO2, water and consequent release of energy. The released energy is temporarily stored as ATP. There is big difference between breathing and respiration. I know that breathing is simply exchange of gases. Yes, Ankita, during breathing an organism takes in oxygen from the environment and gives out carbon dioxide, while respiration is a complex process during which digested food is oxidized to release chemical energy.
Objectives. At the end of this lesson, you'll be able to find out types of respiration on the basis of use of oxygen, understand anaerobic and aerobic respiration, find out the whole process of respiration in lower and higher animals, understand human respiratory system, understand structure and functions of nostrils, nasal cavity, larynx, trachea, bronchi, bronchiole, alveoli, lungs, diaphragm. Find out pulmonary volumes and capacities. Understand transport of gases in blood. Study respiratory quotient, RQ. Understand ill effects of smoking. Types of respiration. Respiration is of two types: anaerobic respiration and aerobic respiration. Anaerobic respiration is the respiration without oxygen, while aerobic respiration is respiration that requires oxygen. Do you know that in higher animals, whole process of respiration includes external respiration, internal respiration, and cellular respiration? Anaerobic respiration. When food is oxidized without using molecular oxygen, the respiration is called anaerobic respiration. Some common examples are anaerobic bacteria, yeast, parasitic worms like Ascaris, Taenia, Fasciola, etc. In microorganisms, the term fermentation is more commonly used in place of anaerobic respiration. Fermentation is defined as the anaerobic breakdown of carbohydrates and other organic compounds into alcohols, organic acids, gases, etc. with the help of microorganisms or their enzymes. Aerobic respiration. When oxygen is used for respiration, it is called aerobic respiration. Examples: most plants and animals. Do you know when there is a lack of oxygen in our muscle cells? Then pyruvate is converted into lactic acid, which is also a 3-carbon molecule. If we perform any sudden activity, then cramps are caused in our muscles due to the formation of lactic acid. External respiration. External respiration is the process by which gases are exchanged between the blood and the air. It is a physical process. It is simply the intake of oxygen and giving out of carbon dioxide. It involves two phases: inspiration and expiration. Inspiration is a process by which fresh air enters in the lungs. In this, diaphragm becomes flat and gets lowered by the contraction of its muscle fibers and increases the volume of the thoracic cavity. The external intercostal muscles contract and pull the ribs and sternum upwards and outwards direction, and thus the volume of thoracic cavity is increased. Expiration is a process by which CO2 is expelled out from the lungs. Muscles fibers of the diaphragm relax, make it convex, decreasing the volume of the thoracic cavity. External intercostal muscles relax and pull the ribs downwards and inwards direction, thus decreasing the size of the thoracic cavity. Internal respiration. Internal respiration is the process by which gases are exchanged between blood and tissue fluid and between tissue fluid and cells. Cellular respiration. Cellular respiration is the process by which cells use oxygen for metabolism and give off CO2 as a waste. Exchange of gases in lower animals. In lower organisms, there is no special organ for respiration. So, cell in unicellular and every cell in multicellular organisms of the body take part in respiration. Every cell is in direct contact with water, therefore is direct exchange of oxygen of surrounding water and carbon dioxide of body cells. This is known as body surface respiration. Oxygen inside the mitochondria of cells is used in the oxidation of glucose to produce CO2, water, and energy-rich molecules. Some common examples are amoeba, paramecium, sponges, and coelentrates. Exchange of gases in higher animals. In higher organisms, the body wall is thick. As a result, diffusion is not possible, and they have high metabolic rate, so they require high energy. As required, higher animals have special respiratory organs for exchange of gases. They also have blood vascular system to transport oxygen and CO2 between the respiratory organ and the body cells. Exchange of gases in higher animals may be through skin, gills, trachea, or lungs. Skin respiration is found in annelids and amphibians. Exchange of gases occurs through skin which is thin, moist vascular, and permeable. It is also called cutaneous respiration. Gill respiration is found in crustaceans, cartilage fishes, bony fishes, and tadpoles of amphibians. It is also called branchial respiration. Oxygen is received from water. Exchange of oxygen of water and CO2 of blood capillaries present in gill lamellae occur when water passes through the gills. Tracheal respiration is found in all insects. Respiratory organs are highly branched air tubes known as trachea. These tracheas are connected to air by small openings called spiracles. Lung respiration is found in land animals and man. Respiratory organs are lungs. It is also known as pulmonary respiration. It occurs with the help of respiratory system. Human respiratory system. Structurally and functionally, the conducting part of human respiratory system is highly complicated. The mammalian respiratory system consists of nostrils, nasal cavity, larynx, trachea, bronchi, bronchiole, alveoli, lungs, diaphragm. Nostrils. Holes of the nose are called nostrils. These are paired openings that open up into the nasal chambers. Nasal cavity. It is divided into two nasal chambers by the nasal septum. Each nasal chamber consists of three regions, that is, vestibular, respiratory, and olfactory regions. Larynx. Larynx contains vocal cords, the sound-producing elastic fibers called voice box. There is a little difference in the size of the larynx in man and woman. It grows larger and becomes prominent in man, and therefore it is called Adam's apple in man. Human larynx consists of glottis, cartilages, hyoid bone, thyroid membrane, vocal cords, laryngeal ligaments and muscles. Glottis is an opening in the floor of pharynx leading to larynx. There are 9 pieces of cartilages, 3 are single and 3 are paired. Epiglottis is a leaf-like structure that prevents the entry of food into respiratory tract during swallowing. Trachea. The trachea or windpipe is a continuation of the larynx. Trachea is supported by incomplete C-shaped rings of hyaline cartilages. The mucosa of trachea is lined with a ciliated pseudostratified epithelium containing mucus-secreting globulate cells, which helps in pushing mucus out. Bronchi. A bronchus, plural bronchi, adjective bronchial, is a passage of airway in the respiratory tract that conducts air into the lungs. Bronchiole. The bronchus branches into smaller tubes, which in turn become bronchioles. No gas exchange takes place in this part of the lungs. Alveoli. The alveoli are the ultimate structural and physiological units of lungs. Alveoli provide great surface area, like villi of intestine in mammals, for gaseous exchange by diffusion. Gaseous exchange occurs across the respiratory members of the alveoli. Lungs. Each lung is covered by double membrane called pleurae. The outer covering membrane of lung is called parietal pleura. The inner covering membrane of lung is called visceral pleura. In human, the right lung has the 3 lobes and left lung has 2 lobes. Diaphragm. The diaphragm is a dome-shaped muscular structure separating the thoracic and abdominal cavities. The diaphragm is characteristic of mammals. The diaphragm is supplied by the phrenic nerves. Puncturing of diaphragm results in stoppage of breathing and is fatal. Respiratory and pulmonary volumes and capacities. There are 4 respiratory volumes: tidal volume, TV, inspiratory reserve volume, IRV, expiratory reserve volume, ERV, residual volume, RV, and 4 respiratory capacities: inspiratory capacity, IC, functional residual capacity, FRC, vital capacity, VC, and total lung capacity, TLC. The recording of breathing is known as a spirogram. The quantities of air that lungs can receive, hold, and expel under different conditions are called pulmonary volumes, and combination of 2 or more pulmonary volumes are called pulmonary capacities. The apparatus commonly used to measure the pulmonary volume is a spirometer or respirometer. Transport of gases in blood. Oxygen transport. 98.5% of oxygen is transported by blood with the help of the respiratory pigment hemoglobin present in erythrocytes, RBCs. 1 molecule of hemoglobin can carry as much as 4 oxygen molecules. 1 gram of hemoglobin binds about 1.34 ml of oxygen. Thus, 100 ml of pure blood carries about 20 ml of oxygen. Carbon dioxide transport. Transport of carbon dioxide by blood is much easier than that of oxygen due to high solubility of CO2 in water. About 7% of CO2 is transported as dissolved in plasma, 23% as carbaminohemoglobin, and 70% as bicarbonates. Most of the CO2 is transported by blood in the form of sodium bicarbonate in plasma. Respiratory quotient, RQ. Respiratory quotient is the ratio of volume of CO2 released to volume of O2 absorbed. RQ varies for substrate to substrate. Therefore, determination of RQ can give valuable information about the nature of the substrate being used for respiration and the types of metabolism. Ill effects of smoking. Tobacco smoke has a number of toxic chemicals which cause ill effects on human health. It is responsible for lung cancer, coughing, bronchitis, emphysema, and carbon monoxide poisoning. Did you know ATP is the energy currency for most cellular processes? The energy released during the process of respiration is used to make an ATP molecule from ADP and inorganic phosphate. Endothermic processes in the cell then use this ATP to drive the reactions. When the terminal phosphate linkage in ATP is broken using water, the energy equivalent to 30.5 kJ per mol is released. ATP can be used in the cells for the contraction of muscles, protein synthesis, conduction of nervous impulses, and many other activities. If the alveolar surface were spread out, it would cover about 80 meters square. If diffusion were to move oxygen in our body, it is estimated that it would take 3 years for a molecule of oxygen to get to our toes from our lungs. Summary. Let us summarize what we have learned. Breathing involves two processes: inspiration and expiration. Rib muscles and diaphragm help in breathing. Aerobic respiration takes place with the help of oxygen and is responsible for complete breakdown of hexose into carbon dioxide and water. Anaerobic respiration is incomplete breakdown of substrate in the absence of oxygen. Lower organisms show body surface respiration, while higher organisms have special respiratory organs like skin in annelids, trachea in insects, skin and lungs in amphibians, gills in crustaceans and fishes, and lungs in reptiles, birds, and mammals. Respiratory system of man is formed of nostrils, nasal chamber, glottis, trachea, bronchi, and bronchial intercom inside the human lungs. Tobacco smoke has a number of toxic chemicals which cause ill effects on human health. It is responsible for lung cancer, coughing, bronchitis, emphysema, and carbon monoxide poisoning.
Introduction. We all know that all plants need water. The wilted leaves recover when plant is added to the soil, which means that water has been conducted upwards into the leaves. Yes, we have also learned that the leaves for photosynthesis need water. Likewise, the food produced in the leaves has to be transported to other parts of the plant, including the stem, the roots, flowers, and fruits, etc. All this transportation is the function of conducting tissues. Yes, Ankita, similarly, in animals, the food absorbed by the gut has to be carried to all the body parts. Oxygen absorbed in the lungs has to be transported to every cell of the body. The carbon dioxide produced in the cells has to be carried to the lungs for elimination. All such functions are the result of a transport system.
Objectives. At the end of this lesson, you'll be able to understand the need for a system of transport in plants and animals, find out mechanism for movement of molecules such as diffusion, understand osmosis and active transport, understand the importance of blood as a medium of transport, find out the structure and function of human heart, understand the composition of blood, understand difference between arteries, veins, and capillaries. Understand the major blood groups and state the matching groups for blood transfusion. Find out disorders of circulatory system and find out the structure and function of xylem and phloem in plants. Mechanisms for movement of molecules. Molecules move in and out of a cell through the cell membrane. The cell membrane is selectively permeable to substances, which means that it permits entry and exit of certain molecules only. The movement of molecules takes place by diffusion, osmosis, and active transport. Diffusion is movement of particles or molecules from a region of their higher concentration to a region of their lower concentration. For example, during respiration, oxygen-laden air in lungs, being at a higher concentration, moves into blood capillaries having lower concentration of oxygen in them. Osmosis is the movement of water molecules from a region having more water molecules to a region having less water molecules when separated by a semi-permeable membrane. Semi-permeable membrane means a membrane which allows some molecules, that is, water molecules, to pass through it but not some other larger molecules. No energy is spent during diffusion or osmosis. Active transport is movement of molecules against concentration gradient, that is, from a region of their low concentration to a region of their higher concentration. Energy is required in active transport. Transport of materials in human beings. In the body of majority of animals, substances are transported from one part of the body to another through blood. Thus, blood is the tissue of transport and circulates throughout the body. Blood transports nutrients, respiratory gases, hormones, and waste material from one part of the body to another. Circulatory system consists of organs which make blood circulate throughout the body. Human circulatory system consists of centrally located muscular pump called heart and blood vessels which are tube-like structures connected to the heart. Blood vessels are of three kinds: arteries, veins, and capillaries. Arteries. They carry blood from heart to various parts of the body. Veins. They bring blood from various parts of the body to the heart. Capillaries. These are thin vessels between the artery and the vein. The capillaries allow the exchange of materials between blood and tissues. Human heart. Structure. Heart is a powerful muscular organ lying between lungs in the upper part of thorax of our body. It is four-chambered, two right and left atria, atrium, also called auricles, and two right and left ventricles. The heart is made of specialized muscle cells, also called cardiac muscle fibers, which contract and relax all the time without getting tired. The contraction and relaxation follows a rhythm called heartbeat to pump blood into the vessels. Rhythmic heartbeat results in the proper transport of substances to the various organs. In 1 minute, normal human heart beats about 72 times. Abnormalities in heartbeat can be seen by taking ECG or electrocardiography. Functions of human heart. Impure blood is the blood low in oxygen and high in carbon dioxide, and pure blood is full of oxygen. A large vein, the vena cava, collects impure and deoxygenated blood through veins from all parts of the body and empties into the right atrium. At the same time, vein from the lungs brings oxygen-laden blood to left atrium. At this time, all the four chambers of the heart are relaxed. Then the atria contract and impure blood from right atrium enters the right ventricle and purified blood from left atrium enters the left ventricle. Valves within the heart prevent blood from flowing back. Next, the ventricles contract while the atria relax. Blood to be purified is transported to the lungs from right ventricle through two pulmonary arteries. The oxygen-laden blood from the left ventricle gets pumped into a large artery called aorta. It carries oxygenated blood to all parts of the body. The veins bring impure blood to the heart, and the arteries take the pure blood away from the heart. But there are two exceptions. The pulmonary artery carries impure blood, and the pulmonary vein carries pure blood. Blood. Blood is a connective tissue that circulates throughout the body. It is made up of a fluid medium called plasma, in which float three types of blood cells called red blood cells, white blood cells, and blood platelets. Blood cells are manufactured in the bone marrow. Red blood cells, RBC or erythrocytes. These are circular in shape and contain a red-colored pigment called hemoglobin. No nucleus is present in RBCs. RBC carries oxygen to tissues and bring back carbon dioxide from tissues. About 5 million mm3 erythrocytes occur in circulating blood. White blood cells, WBC or leukocytes. Since they carry no pigments, therefore they so are colorless. WBC have irregular shape. In the circulating blood, 5,000 to 7,000 mm3 WCs are present. They prevent body from infections by eating up germs or by producing antibodies. Blood platelets, thrombocytes. These are very small fragments of cells. They have no nuclei. They participate in clotting of blood. Functions of blood. Blood carries nutrients, oxygen, carbon dioxide, hormones, and waste material to the relevant parts of the body. Some medicines, when taken in the body, are also distributed through blood. Lymph. Lymph is also a circulatory fluid and flows in the lymph vessels. It is light yellow in color. It always flows only in one direction from tissues to heart. Cells called lymphocytes present in lymph eat up germs and prevent body from infections. Lymph carries digested fats from intestine to other parts. It returns proteins and fluid from circulation to tissues. Blood pressure. The force that blood exerts against the wall of a vessel is called blood pressure. This pressure is much greater in arteries than in veins. The pressure of blood inside the artery during ventricular systole contraction is called systolic pressure, and pressure in artery during ventricular diastole relaxation is called diastolic pressure. The normal systolic pressure is about 120 mm of mercury and diastolic pressure is up to 80 mm of mercury. Blood pressure is measured with an instrument called sphygmomanometer. High blood pressure is called hypertension and is caused by the constriction of arterioles, which results in increased resistance to blood flow. It can lead to the rupture of an artery and internal bleeding. Disorders related to circulatory system. Heart attack. Like all other organs, heart also needs food and oxygen. When arteries supplying the heart become thick due to age or faculty, diet consisting of excessive fatty food, muscle cells of the heart cannot beat in the proper rhythm. Heart attack occurs, which can be detected in an abnormal ECG, and there are methods of treatment. Anemia. When hemoglobin level falls below a certain point, the condition is called anemia. It makes the person weak and look pale and inactive. Iron in the diet helps remove anemia. Leukemia. This is blood cancer. The bone marrow makes excessive WBCs at the cost of RBCs. Hypertension. It is high blood pressure and leads to headache, dizziness, and fatigue. Normal blood pressure is 120/80. High blood pressure is caused by anxiety also. Transport of materials in plants. Transport of water. Roots of plants take up water and minerals from the soil. We have already learnt this water move up from roots to leaves for needs like photosynthesis by conducting tissues, xylem and phloem. Tracheids and vessels, which are non-living cells of xylem, transport water picked up by root hairs from soil to the leaves. Transport of food material from leaves to other parts of the plant is called translocation. This food may be stored in fruits, stem or roots. Transport of water. The upward movement of water and minerals termed ascent of sap is against gravity and is due to transpiration pull. Transpiration is the process in which a lot of water evaporates as water vapor from pores on the surface of leaf called stomata. This evaporation creates a vacuum and pulls up water through the xylem. Transport of food and other substances. Transport of food material, sugars, and other food molecules synthesized in the leaves are transported to other parts of the plant through phloem. Sieve tubes are living cells of the phloem which transport food. Activity. Take 2 small pots of approximately the same size and having the same amount of soil. We will fix a plant in one pot and a stick of the same height as the plant in the other pot. Cover the soil in both pots with a plastic sheet so that moisture cannot escape by evaporation. Cover both sets, one with the plant and the other with the stick, with plastic sheets and place in bright sunlight for half an hour. The pot with plant has small droplets of water inside the plastic sheet. This is due to the transportation of water and transpiration from leaves. Did you know? Hemoglobin content is different in male and female human beings. Normal human male has 14.5 plus minus 2 gram%. Normal human female has 12 plus minus 2 gram%. In human beings, the blood passes through the heart twice in one complete cycle of the body. Therefore, it is called double circulation. The sinoarterial SA node is a small mass of specialized muscle cells found in the walls of the right atrium near the opening of the vena cava. This tissue initiates and maintains the heartbeat. When it fails to function, an electronic device pacemaker is implanted into the chest of the patient to maintain heartbeat. Summary. Let us summarize what we have learned. Molecules move in and out of cells by diffusion, osmosis, or active transport. In most animals, blood circulates through heart and blood vessels to reach all parts of body. Heart in humans is 4-chambered. 2 upper chambers are called atria and lower chambers are ventricles. Capillaries are thin blood vessels between an artery and a vein. Lymphatic system is made of lymph vessels in which a colorless fluid called lymph flows. In plants, water is absorbed from soil by root hairs and reaches leaves and other parts through xylem vessels.
Introduction. As we already know that how organisms get rid of gaseous wastes are removed by plants during photosynthesis and by animals during respiration. Yes, but liquid and solid wastes are still present in the body. So, we can say that the biological process involved removal of these harmful metabolic wastes from the body is called excretion. The process of excretion is different in different organisms. Yes, unicellular organisms remove these wastes by simple diffusion from the body surface into the surrounding water. Example, in amoeba, it is done through plasma membrane. While complex multicellular organisms use specialized organs to perform the same function. In Platyhelminthes, excretory organs are proton-frigia or flame cells, while in annelids, It is nephridia. Yes, in arthropods, excretory organs are coxal glands, antennary or green glands, and Malpighian tubules. While in molluscus, it is kidneys. Similarly, in echinoderms, excretory organs are dermal papillae. While in urochordates, it is neural gland, and in cephalochordates, it is proton phrydia. In vertebrates, excretory organs are one pair of kidneys.
Objectives. At the end of this lesson, you'll be able to understand excretion in animals and plants, find out types of excretion, understand excretion in human beings, find out various organs involved in excretion, understand excretion by lungs, find out excretion by skin, understand excretion by large intestine, understand structure and functions of urinary system, find out structure and functions of kidneys, understand structure and functions of ureters, find out structure and functions of urinary bladder, understand structure and functions of nephrons, study about artificial kidney or hemodialysis. Excretion in human beings. The primary excretory system of human beings includes a pair of kidneys, a pair of ureters, a urinary bladder, and a urethra. While secondary excretory system of human beings includes lungs, skin, large intestine, liver. Excretion by lungs. Lungs excrete carbon dioxide and water vapor formed during the process of respiration. Excretion by skin. Skin removes urea, salts, and excess water as sweat produced by sweat glands present in the skin. Sweat is removed through tiny pores in the skin. Excretion by large intestine. Large intestine removes the indigested food as feces through the anus. It is a storage area of waste material that awaits elimination. Urinary system. The organs that form, store, and excrete urine constitute the urinary system. It consists of a pair of kidneys, a pair of ureters, a urinary bladder, and a urethra. Urine produced in the kidneys passes through the ureters into the urinary bladder, where it is stored until it is released through the urethra. Kidneys. Kidneys are located in the abdomen, one on either side of the backbone. They are large-sized, reddish-brown, and bean-shaped. The right kidney is slightly lower in position. Concavity of kidney is called hilum, which is always inward. Each kidney is formed of about 1 million uriniferous or renal tubules or nephrons internally. Kidneys must function properly in order to keep a person in perfect health. Nephrons. Nephrons are convoluted in outer part of kidney called renal cortex, while run straight in central part of kidney called renal medulla. Nephrons are the functional units of kidneys. Each nephron is a long coiled tubular structure that filters out nitrogenous waste material from the blood and forms urine. Urea is the main nitrogenous waste present in urine, so man is ureotelic in excretion. Ureters. These are a pair of long, narrow, thin-walled and tubular structures which start from the hilum of the kidneys, run downward and open in urinary bladder. Ureters conduct the urine from the kidneys to urinary bladder by peristalsis. Urinary bladder. The urinary bladder is thin-walled, elastic, pear-shaped and distensible sac present in lower part of abdomen. Bladder is a temporary storage sac of urine. The urinary bladder is lined with smooth muscles, so it is under nervous control. As a result, we can usually control the urge to urinate. Urethra. Urethra is a muscular and tubular structure which extends from the urinary bladder to the outside. Urethra carries the urine to outside body. Bowman's capsule. Bowman's capsule is a double-walled cup present in the renal cortex. It is lined by a thin and semi-permeable epithelium of flat cells. There is a group of blood capillaries called glomerulus in the cavity of Bowman's capsule. Glomerulus is formed by the division of afferent arteriole. Bowman's capsule and glomerulus are collectively called Malphian body or renal corpuscle. Glomerulus is the site of filtration under pressure called ultrafiltration. The filtrate formed by glomerulus is therefore known as glomerular or nephric filtrate. Nephric tubules. Nephric tubule is long and coiled and is formed of three parts: proximal convoluted tubule PCT, loop of Henle, distal convoluted tubule DCT. Proximal convoluted tubule PCT is a convoluted part of the kidney and lies in the renal cortex. It is the main site of selective reabsorption of sodium, calcium, amino acids, etc. from the nephric filtrate. Loop of Henle is a U-shaped tubule present in the renal medulla. It is formed of two limbs, descending limb which is thin-walled and ascending limb which is thick-walled. Descending limb is permeable to water but impermeable to minerals like sodium chloride. Ascending limb is permeable to minerals like sodium chloride but impermeable to water. It concentrates the urine. Distal convoluted tubule DCT is a convoluted part and lies in the renal cortex. It opens in the collecting tubule. Most of water from the nephric filtrate is reabsorbed through the wall of DCT and collecting tubule. Formation of urine. The purpose of making urine is to filter out waste products from the blood. Just as CO2 is removed from the blood in the lungs, nitrogenous waste such as urea or uric acid are removed from blood in the kidneys. It is then no surprise that the basic filtration unit in kidneys, like in the lungs, is a cluster of very thin-walled blood capillaries. Each capillary cluster in the kidney is associated with a cup-shaped end of a tube that collects the filtered urine. Some substances in the initial filtrate, such as glucose, amino acids, salts, and a major amount of water, are selectively reabsorbed as the urine flows along the tube. The amount of water reabsorbed depends on how much excess water there is in the body and on how much of dissolved waste there is to be excreted. Urine is stored in the urinary bladder until the pressure of the expanded bladder leads to the urge to pass it out through the urethra. Artificial kidney. Hemodialysis. Kidneys are vital organs for survival. Several factors like infections, injury, or restricted blood flow to kidneys reduce the activity of kidneys. This leads to accumulation of poisonous wastes in the body, which can even lead to death. In case of kidney failure, an artificial kidney can be used, which is a device to remove nitrogenous waste products from the blood through dialysis. Artificial kidneys contain a number of tubes with a semi-permeable lining suspended in a tank filled with dialysing fluid. This fluid has the same osmotic pressure as blood, except that it is devoid of nitrogenous wastes. The patient's blood is passed through these tubes. During this passage, the waste products from the blood pass into dialysing fluid by diffusion. The purified blood is pumped back into the patient. This is similar to the function of the kidney, but it is different since there is no reabsorption involved. Normally, in a healthy adult, the initial filtrate in the kidneys is about 180 liters daily. However, the volume actually excreted is only a liter or 2 a day because the remaining filtrate is reabsorbed in the kidney's tubules. Excretion in plants. Plants use completely different strategies for excretion than those of animals. Oxygen itself can be thought of as a waste product generated during photosynthesis. We have discussed earlier how plants deal with oxygen as well as carbon dioxide. They can get rid of excess water by transpiration. For other wastes, plants use the fact that many of their tissues consist of dead cells and they can even lose some parts such as leaves. Many plant waste products are stored in cellular vacuoles. Waste products may be stored in leaves that fall off. Other waste products are stored as raisins and gums, especially in old xylem. Plants also excrete some waste substances into the soil around them. Did you know? Maturation is expelling of urine from body. It is commonly called urination. In diabetes, urine has excess of sugar called glycosuria. Normal human excretes 1.5 to 1.8 liters of urine per day. In female, urethra carries only urine, while in male, urethra carries both urine and sperms, so is also called urinogenital canal. Summary. Let us summarize what we have learned. Excretion involves expelling of nitrogenous wastes, while osmoregulation is regulating the water level in the body fluids. Different animals have different excretory organs, while lower organisms have body surface excretion. Excretory system of man is formed of kidneys, ureters, urinary bladder, and urethra. Kidneys have excretory units called nephrons. Each nephron is formed of Bowman's capsule and nephric tubule. Bowman's capsule has glomerulus, where ultrafiltration occurs, while nephric tubules show differential reabsorption. Hemodialysis is a process of separating nitrogenous wastes from the blood of a person with kidney dysfunctioning with the help of artificial kidney. In plants, oxygen and excess water is released through stomata.